Today was the last day that I'm going to get to spend hiking along the Mendocino coast. And I caught myself thinking that this chunk of the coast was so beautiful, I wasn't surprised they named a town after it and even a whole county after it. If anything, I'm surprised they didn't name the state after it. It's my home and I love it here, so maybe I'm just a little bit biased. In fact, I think maybe most people feel that way about their home, that it's just a little bit more special than other people realize. Home is a funny concept. I remember whenever I was incarcerated being escorted back to my cell by Officer Moore. Moore was a character. Some officers stand out, and he always had a joke. He always had something to say. He liked to engage. An escort is whenever you're handcuffed behind your back, and they hold your arm and walk you someplace. This can be done for any number of reasons. Basically, you need to get from your cell to wherever you're going, and they can't have you out of restraints. Perhaps you're violent, perhaps you're at risk from assault from other inmates and they want to have you segregated. Maybe it's just that there is an institutional problem and they want to make sure that all inmates are restrained when they're leaving their cell. He asked me, "Hey Channel, where do you live?" This is a common question whenever you're being escorted because there are a lot of cells, a lot of yards even, and cops can get confused. And I told him B3, 219, which is where I was living at the time. That's Bravo Yard, B, 3 block, the 3rd building in Bravo Yard, and then the cell I was in, 219, the 2nd tier of the 19th cell. This is the way you'd answer that question, and it was routine. He went, no, man, I know what cell you're in. I was asking, where do you live, man? Where'd you grow up? He was engaging, which is what he often did. And I got to tell him, I grew up in Mendocino County, man. It's not too far from San Francisco. And he knew where I was talking about because he'd grown up in Humboldt. He was a Humboldt boy. And we got to talk about our respective places that we'd grown up as he was escorting me back to my cell. It was nice to be able to talk to somebody about my home area, and that evening as I was laying in my bunk, it occurred to me that maybe this is why the concept of a homeboy is so valuable. A homeboy is, in prison vernacular, somebody who came from your same area that you grew up or lived. Perhaps your county of commitment or your town, even the street you grew up on, that'd be a homeboy. And it's a valuable commodity in prison. Homeboys back each other, and if your homeboy left the yard, you might even pick up his drug debt because he came from your neighborhood. You guys know the same people. You can figure it out. People would talk for hours about where they came from, who their family was, just in the hopes that maybe there'd be a connection. They knew the same person, or the person they knew the same person. Even they went to the same place whenever they were younger. That's enough to have a conversation, and I guess what you're really doing is you're soothing your homesickness. Because that's really what was going on whenever I was talking to Moore, at least, is I was homesick. I was 20 years old, and I missed my family, and I missed where I'd grown up. And I'm sure that you don't think of big, scary inmates as being homesick, but I promise you they were. For a lot of these guys, it's literally the first time they moved out of their mother's house is whenever they went to prison. And for many of them, that will be where they die, too. I don't expect sympathy for the incarcerated. Most of them earned the position they're in, but it is a deep and gnawing homesickness to be in that position. And a homeboy is a valuable commodity. I didn't have many homeboys. I'm from Mendocino County. That's a rural county. And even whenever I was at San Quentin, which is the designated reception center for people from Mendocino, so there I would have seen more Mendo boys than anywhere else. And I made the joke to the shot caller, there's enough guys in the Mendocino car to fit in a car. There was, I think, a half dozen of us. Everywhere else, it was 1 or 2 at most, and I never established a strong rapport with any of them. I never had a homeboy. Which perhaps is for the best, because, as I said, you might be expected to pick up a homeboy's drug debt or back his play, and I did okay without it, I suppose. No point in crying over spilt milk that I didn't have somebody to talk to, because maybe it would have ended badly. The concept of home can be a tricky one to start with, honestly. I'm leaving my home where I grew up here, and I left under the strangest circumstances and just never came back. And Now, after all of these years, I feel like a stranger here. They say you can't go home again, and it's true, and we all knew it was true, but I'm experiencing it, and it's a unique sensation. But I'm going to be leaving this home and going back to my home, my wife, and my 2 boys, who I love so much, and yes, to my room, which has a wall which looks like a prison cell. It's just a strange coincidence that on most of my videos, it looks just like a prison cell. Whenever I get home, I'm going to take a moment, and I'm going to really treasure what I have. Because it is a terrifying truth that a bad choice, a little bit of bad luck, and 20 years later you can be standing in your home trying to figure out why you feel like a stranger. So take a moment and think about what home means to you. The homes you've had, that you've outgrown, or that have outgrown you, or that you've lost. And the one you have now. And remember that nothing in life lasts forever. You're going to lose it. So treasure it. I know that's what I'm going to do.